council, Daisy Walker, Bill Fury, the mayor, the law director, the finance director, and the clerk of council. Is there any audience participation? Does not appear that we have any audience participation. We need to nominate a chair of the safety committee. I'd like to open the floor for nominations.
All right, at this time, I'll nominate Scott Barby, Chairman of Safety Committee.
I'll second that nomination, Mr. Scafidi.
Any discussion? You good?
I'm good with that.
I'm good, too.
Do we need to call the roll?
Yeah, yes.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
Congratulations.
Passes 2-0.
2-0.
All right. Now that we've got the business of that handled, we're moving on to item number 4, which is the traffic light timing at Chamberlain and State Route 82. Is that
Amy, I guess.
our city engineer, Amy Moore?
Council, you received an email from residents last week in regards to it, asking to have this added to the agenda. Everyone got a chance to read that. It is in your Box app also.
Yep. Got it. I got it.
Okay.
Yeah, I did see it
Yeah.
in there.
Is the question of the timing when you're going down Chamberlain to Route 82. Only a couple cars can get through. People are cutting through the business park and then going over 3 to 4 lanes to turn left because of the timing there.
Right. And this was Angel.
Yes.
Is she coming?
She is not. She put that in the email. She is not in town this week. That's why she sent the email.
Did she send the pictures?
I think she went out of town and didn't have time to send those.
Right. So the big issue seems to be that due to the increased traffic with Whispering Woods, as you stated, Mrs. Collins, in the mornings, especially or peak traffic times, we're seeing 4 to 5 light cycles to be able to head east on 82 from Chamberlain south. Presumably, that is something that we could look at or have service look at, or I don't know, since Amy's here, we could certainly ask her thoughts on this.
This is the part I'm here for you. In 2014, we did a traffic study of all of the 82 corridor, starting down at Ravenna and 82. There's actually, the way our traffic system is set up, it talks to each other. So we have zones where there's a master controller, and it controls everything in that particular zone. So this makes up 2 zones. In the zone that we're specifically talking about at Chamberlain Road, there are 4 signals in that zone. There's 11 in the other zone. So making an adjustment to one signal, it's really a whole system that you're looking at making the adjustment. And to truly make that adjustment, you probably, like I said, the last traffic count was done in 2014. Now with that traffic count, and probably the adjustment was made either late 14 or early 15, with that traffic count, a lot of the side streets, 82 is your major thoroughfare, and you want to get traffic through that area, otherwise you will back up everything in the corridor. In 2014, at that point in time, Chamberlain Road had a level of service F, which means the delay was about 118 seconds, so that was a large delay. They were able to adjust the timing of that intersection and give the intersection a level of service B, which means the overall intersection now has a level of service delay around 17 seconds. However, that leg of the Chamberlain Road still has a 47-second delay. So if you're going to sit through one cycle from beginning to end, you're going to be there for almost a minute, regardless. So now my understanding is they're sitting through 2 cycles, which could be close to 90 seconds or whatever, the 95 seconds, still less than a delay. The issue is that you can make small adjustments in the overall timing for the corridor, but you're going to cause yourself what's your level of service on 82 that you want to maintain through that section. When you look at the next, we don't have the next one in the section because at the time of the study we didn't have Independence Parkway's timing in there, but Dutton Drive was the next one that was studied at that point in time. In that intersection, we were able to get up to a level of service C. So you're still not functioning in that corridor. That corridor is not functioning at an A or B. And that one leg, their leg coming in is also about a 47-second delay. And that was an improvement from a 170-second delay. So, I mean, a lot of tweaks were made. There's always going to be a delay on the lesser leg when you talk about a state route, in terms of what you have. Now, I don't, like I said, I've been up there not at rush hour, which is the morning coming in. I've been up there at lunchtime. I've been up there in the evening. I maybe have gotten hit by a second light, but again, I'm not going through there at rush hour every
Sure.
morning, and I don't know how long a delay, I don't know how often it does. I don't know if you want to start by as simply as, maybe having a patrol car, check and see if people are shortcutting and what's the issue there in terms of that, because I don't know if those businesses that are affected by the shortcutting. I'm sure there is. I'm sure there's no sign posted, no shortcutting.
Right.
So, there are some other things there. They still are working on the Cornerstone property. They have built out now at least that corner of Whispering Woods. I know on the ballot had been something on the southern corner of that intersection, and like I said, they're starting to build out the rest of the Cornerstone Park, which should be done probably with, I would assume they'd be inhabited within the next year, and then you'd have a full understanding. The other problem that could be occurring is the impact of COVID-19 and people's travel habits. Okay, because people may have been leaving to go to work at 6:30 in the morning and clearing that before the people coming into town were coming in, and the delay wasn't there. Now if they're working from home or just changing their travel habits, that may have caused an impact there. And we don't know if those are long-term effects. We can tell from the modeling that AMATS has told us and the state has told us, ODOT has told us, that traffic patterns have changed drastically throughout the course of the last year. So in terms of doing a study, is it the proper time to do a study? Should we do a study now? Should we do a study in 6 months? Is this the new normal, or are we still returning back to normal? And I can't tell you that. That's really the question. But I think it would behoove us to at least put out some patrol or somebody to monitor that in the morning to see if, okay, do we want to do a full corridor study, which would be then your next thing as far as traffic, and is it the appropriate time? Do we think traffic's somewhat normalized? Because if things change again in another 12 months and everybody's back to work and they're all, now you could have another issue with timing and what have you. But again, that's the traffic. The other thing in our overall general traffic system, our traffic system, and I've talked with the mayor and the finance director on this too, we're eventually going to have to do something on our whole signal system is getting old. The technology running our systems is getting so that eventually being able to even service it is going to be old. I think when I first started, I've been here a long time, but partway through there we had upgraded. So it's been a number of years since we had upgraded to a system. When you look at what you do with your computer or your cell phone, you're upgrading those technologies, and our technology is older. And we have discussed trying to, look at what we want to do maybe comprehensively and going after AMATS funding for corridors and things like that. And so I don't know the timing on that, but I think that's going to be, in your 10-year plan out there as far as what to do. But I don't know what to do in the short term here, just with how I know that traffic is a little crazy based on what we've experienced over the last year.
I think what you mentioned, I was thinking the same thing, is I don't believe that we could post a sign on their property that says no through traffic, but maybe we can get them to do that. And then at that point, we can have one of our officers sit there. And I guess then we would be able to cite them if that's happening.
Yeah.
But without it being posted, I don't know if you can just,
Yeah, those
shortcutting to avoid a traffic control device.
signs are usually
even
in the
without a
right of way.
sign?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, they're
Then we
usually in
don't
the
need a
right of way
sign.
at the driveway, and I think they posted by cities. It's in the Uniform Traffic Control
Right.
Manual, that type of signage. And I
Okay.
don't think that's been posted, but
For sure.
I do know for anybody that is traveling during that period of time, Angel wasn't the only one. I had another caller that called me. I didn't get her name. I apologize for that, because I get calls maybe every 6 months or so, somebody, complaining about us, in terms of whatever, and I kind of told them, until the build out in the area, we'd be looking at some things, but
Yeah, I think it makes sense to let Cornerstone kind of get finished, flushed out, and see what the traffic ultimately is going to be on that corner before we would commission a traffic corridor study.
So what I would recommend is at least maybe when I'm doing the budgeting, because I'm doing the budgeting for 2022, to put money into the 2022 budget for traffic study, you know, kind of earmarked in that direction, if you guys want to consider doing one in 2022. You can always knock it out after I request it.
Sure.
May I ask, how long does the traffic study take and what does it entail?
A traffic study, well, I have to go out to, I get usually quotes, because this will probably be a lesser one. The one that did the 15 signals 5-6 years ago, whatever number of years ago, was about $18,000. So this might be less signals if it's 4, so you're basically a $6,000-8,000 type of study. And so I usually go to a couple different engineering firms or firms that basically are traffic engineering. And I put a request out. I say, this is what we want you to do. You guys are all equally qualified. Can you give me a price? We make a selection. I hire somebody in. Then they get in their schedules. And what they do is they do a traffic count. So they'll send people out, and they'll go out and count, sit at the intersections, and there'll be somebody with it's a board or a panel, so they'll count left hand, right hand movements and count that traffic. And then they'll go in and they have software that we don't have here. I'm not a traffic engineer. But it follows a manual of traffic engineering, and there's software that basically run it in there to optimize how to run the corridor to get the best level of service associated with and tweak it accordingly. So, but timing-wise, it's a little bit of time just because you've got all this set up and process of hiring and then getting somebody out there and then coming back. But you know, usually you can get the timing set in there in 3 to 6 months, I would guess, from the time to start to finish, depending on how fast you're pushing. And depending else what else you got on, going on, so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. I think, as Mr. Scafidi indicated, perhaps maybe some increased patrols during rush hour. Something we could certainly talk to the police department about, at least even just from an observation standpoint, to get a feel for if people are in fact shortcutting. I mean, I don't know that we need to go out and start hammering out tickets there, but let's just maybe observe some of the conditions
We do our own
and
level
see
traffic
what's going
study.
on.
Yeah.
I mean, just in-house. I'm not opposed to the idea of looking at that for possibly for 2022 budget year. I don't know, Mr. Scafidi or Ms. Labby, what your thoughts are?
Yeah, I think if it's budgeted and you explain it to the resident, this is how we're gonna approach it. I think it's a reasonable request.
Right.
And I think that gives us some time to let Cornerstone build out traffic to return to normal. Amy, thank you, that's a great point. I guess I never really looked at the COVID impact, but I do know people are still working part-time from home, some in the office, some not in the office, so things are definitely not back to normal per se.
And I know for us who went to work during COVID, now the increase of traffic that used to be is not so great
It was
either.
nice, the freeway
was
was
nice.
great.
Yeah,
It
it
was great
nice.
for a while.
Sure was.
Anything else on the traffic light timing at Chamberlain? I think we can kind of rest easy on that for now. All right, that takes us to item number 5 on the agenda, which is unfinished business, new business, and miscellaneous. Mr. Scafidi, anything?
I have nothing, thanks.
Ms. Labby, anything?
I had nothing, thanks.
Okay. Any other members of council, mayor?
No, I just wanted to mention it seems the signals on Liberty Road, I'm just talking to some residents who live in that area, and they seem to be working well and functioning the way that they should, and so I think that was a good addition to that, and I know this kind of came out of this committee, so just want to mention that.
Wonderful. Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I went down there a couple of days ago, and we actually played with the signals, and they came out great. So that we're referring to the pedestrian crossings at Liberty and Post, and at Neely Lane Post as well. It was a long time coming, but Amy, you guys did a great job, and Chris and the service department, they did a terrific job getting those installed for us, so we appreciate that. I have nothing further. Anyone? Okay. We have no absent members here this evening, and our next meeting date is probably going to be determined at this time.
Yeah, 2022.
All right, so we will meet again unless something warrants a time sooner than that. With that, it is 6:47 PM, and we will adjourn the meeting.